Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about Jamin Davis out of the University of Kentucky is the man himself, a man who knows more about football stats than I know my middle and last name, and that's true. It's Vincent Turner. How's it going, Mr. Turner?
How you doing this morning, Mr. Long?
Oh, it is a great day to talk about football. It's a great day to wake up and be alive. And,
Amen.
bright and early, I found this out. One thing that people have started to really love about our programming is that we are very consistent. Every Monday morning, they can tune in and watch our live broadcast. And that's something I've really enjoyed. And something that else they've really enjoyed is all of our draft prospects. So, Mr. Turner, tell me, what is it about Jamin Davis out of Kentucky that really gets your blood pumping and gets you excited about the NFL draft? And what is it that, he might do? And maybe even throw a couple teams out there you think that might be a great place for him to land.
I'm going to tell you about Mr. Davis, why I'm excited about this young man. I'm going to keep it honest and real as I always do every Monday morning. Kentucky is a basketball school, but watching this young man play football with Kentucky this past season, it kind of got my blood blue and breathing blue because, that's the colors of the Kentucky Wildcats, blue and white. To me, Mr. Davis is the best defensive prospect going in this draft out of University of Kentucky since Art Steele did it in 1977. I like the young man's size, 6'4", 230. He's a guy that's got room to put on more weight. He's got an excellent frame to play linebacker. And when you watch him on film, especially past his 2020 season, he was a guy that made plays in the coverage. He made plays in the run game. He made plays special team wise. He's a very, very special football player. So let me give you my grade report on all these great players I've done every week. For Mr. Davis, dynamic special teams player, A+. Terrific athlete, A+. Eye discipline, what you need as a linebacker. I could say Mr. Davis got them eyes like that young man that played at the University of Miami by the name of Ray Lewis. Very good guy that really doesn't never get out of place with his eyes. Then finally, when you look at all the great linebackers that's played this game, they always had that uncanny ability to have instincts. I give him an A+ off the charts. Then when you look at Mr. Davis, as I always say, he puts me in the mind of Ricky Jackson, who came out of the University of Pittsburgh to play with the New Orleans Saints. Then John Croker, who's a great, outstanding linebacker, Oklahoma State. Go back in time. I watched this linebacker when I was living in Knoxville, Tennessee. Well, about 30 miles from where you from, Mr. Long, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. You remember this guy? There was a highly covered linebacker by the name of Brent Collins that went to the University of Georgia. Very nice. My man, Mr. Davis, put me in the mind as his skill set. Then I'm throw some other players out there. Barry Krause that played at the University of Alabama got that same type of skill set. Julian Peterson, who played with the San Francisco 49ers out of Michigan State. Then you can go on down the list. Robert Brazile, Bobby Bell, oh my God, Jackie Ship, EJ Jr. This young man has all the qualities of being that type of football player at the linebacker position in the National Football League. And to me personally, he is the most underrated linebacker prospect in the draft. A lot of people talking about Michael Parsons. A lot of people talking about Zavon Collins. A lot of people talking about Nick Bolden. But don't sleep on this young man right here. Just because he went to a basketball school, by no means. This guy might end up being the best linebacker coming in the National Football League because he's so versatile. And then I'm going to end it with this. Look at his productions this year. 100 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions as a linebacker this year. And if you want game film, go to the Georgia game. He had 13 tackles. But the game that sticks out in my mind, I don't mean to break your heart this morning, Jeremiah, but both of us are Tennessee fans. Go back in that game film when Kentucky beat Tennessee 34-7. This young man was all over the field. 15 tackles in that game. And look at that athletic play he performed that day when he had that 85-yard interception return for a touchdown. He like a cornerback taking that thing back to the house. This is a great football player. By no means not the University of Kentucky. To me, he's the best since Art Steele came out in 1977 and was a first-round pick with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Man, no doubts there. So let me ask you this: as he comes through, where's his draft stock live? Like, so you mentioned, he's not going to be a super high pick, right?
I look at him being maybe a guy right now. He's rising up the draft boards. I'm looking at him being maybe a second round pick, a day 2 pick, but I don't see him going past the third round. I'm putting him at the end of the second round. And what makes him so special? I'm not talking about getting him on the field right away. He's a good special teams player. Daddy played at Bethune-Cookman, so he has that kind of college football background. He comes from a football background. But what I like about him, if you look at him, his tape, he's making plays all over the field in the run game. I give him an A+ for laying the wood, as we say in the 901. He makes plays in the passing game. He's a guy that can get back in the coverage. He's a very solid football player. And he was coached very well up there in Kentucky by Coach Stoops.
Yeah. Whew. Well, yeah. Well, that makes sense to me. That's one thing that we love about our draft picks is, look, we're going to cover everybody who's going to go in the first round, because they're amazing players and we want to really highlight some of these amazing athletes and, what they're doing. But what people should not discount and not forget about is that there's a long history of amazing, legendary players coming out of the draft in later rounds. And what we're not sure of yet is exactly what status Jamin Davis will have once he does get there. You get him in there, you get someone like him who could be a strong special teams person, and he might be one of those players that can make headlines quickly with his career, even though he doesn't have necessarily the stats to be one of those players that people are anticipating will be legendary. So I really see that for Jamin Davis coming out of Kentucky. He's got a strong backing. He also gets to play. That's one big thing coming out of Kentucky. He's getting time on the field. He's getting to do his thing. So I really like that, and I really like Jamin Davis. Do you have any final thoughts on Jamin Davis?
Well, you brought up a good point about just because we've been covering first-round players, it's talent all through the draft or throughout the years. And you've had some great players that came in this league. Since I'm being a Dallas Cowboy fan, one of the best players that's ever played this game, Everson Walls, was an undrafted free agent. Oh, wow. Another guy that I just love played with the great Eddie Robertson at Grambling University. He was undrafted, one of the best corners that ever played the game, Mr. Willie Brown. So you can find talent anywhere in the draft. It's just like something I saw last night. Somebody said this: if you want to be great, you can't have a minimum wage work ethic. So at the time, when you look at Mr. Davis, he comes in the Southeastern Conference, coming into the season, everybody's talking about Dylan Moses, they were talking about Jabel Cox. He wasn't even on the national scale. So when I think about that young man, I think about that comment again. This young man is proven on the field at a basketball school, the University of Kentucky, that they do play football down there at Kentucky. And to me, he has the opportunity coming to the draft and being the best defensive player, or best all-around player that's ever came out of Kentucky on the defensive side of the ball since Ox Steele came in the league in 1977. So my final words to this young man from the University of Kentucky, basketball school, but he's going to put this school on as a football school. I guarantee you, it's like the great group Queen in the late Freddie Mercury.
Yes, sir.
We will rock you. Mr. Davis is going to rock the 2021 NFL draft.
Well, if you like our video, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And make sure you jump over and listen to our podcast, 100 Yards of Football. You can listen to it anywhere that you listen to podcasts. You can also jump over to Apple Podcasts, or again, anywhere that you listen, including on your home device. Just say, hey, I like to listen to 100 Yards of Football podcast, and your home device will immediately play our podcast for you. So for the whole team here, I am Jeremiah Long, the producer, and you've been listening to Mr. Football himself, Vincent Turner, and our entire team here at 100 Yards of Football. Thank you so much, and we'll be right back with another draft profile.